But before my parents said that I've got my condition, I was aware at like school that people could see more than me, and I couldn't quite work it out. I didn't understand. I just assumed everyone saw the same, but I couldn't work out why I couldn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't until my mum said that I've got the same condition that her dad had that like kind of made more sense.
How did it make you feel growing up?
When I was told I was too young to really get it, the reality of going blind at that point seemed such a distant thing that I didn't feel particularly devastated or overwhelmed. But as I went through secondary school, my mum didn't tell my school. So, when I was playing sports, I couldn't really... I don't have binocular vision, so I haven't got depth of field. So I was always the clumsy kid that never got picked for teams. And if we had to make notes in a video in a class, I couldn't make the notes. And it's lots of small things, but not enough to make me feel particularly ostracised or sort of particularly different. But I was aware that, I was aware that it inhibited me in certain ways.
So how did that impact your mental health, do you think, growing up? What did you feel?
As I got older and friends began going out, I wanted to be normal, whatever normal was. I didn't want to be encumbered by something that I couldn't control that would make people judge me differently. So I just wanted to blend in, so I just pushed it all away. I didn't acknowledge it, I didn't get help for it, I didn't do anything about it. I wanted to be just like everyone else.
How did you, what people would describe something like depression? Did you ever get to the point where you just felt something you'd call depression?
Not for a while, not certainly for a while. In my teens and probably into my 20s, my vision wasn't bad enough to adversely affect what I could do. So I could go shopping and I could get trains and buses and I could be more independent. But I think as time has gone on, I've got older. I'm 47 in a few weeks' time. I think there's that, you become aware, not of what you could see compared to what you couldn't, because you can't remember how much more you could see, but you can base it on what you can do. And I think as my sight's got progressively worse, I have encountered periods of my life where I've not coped particularly well with trying to be normal, but at the same time recognising that I can't be, and struggling to ask for help, struggling to accept the inevitable, which for many years was sort of a distant perspective and reality, and suddenly you're confronted by, okay, I now can't do this and I can't do that. And I think by not talking about it, by trying to pretend that it was all okay and pretend that it wasn't happening, has pushed me into some dark places. And I would like if I was just my SAD in the winter, because it's worse in winter. But I think it sits with me beyond just those months, or has done at times.
Did you ever feel like taking your own life?
I've never been suicidal, but there have been times where if I died through natural circumstance, it would be okay, because it meant I didn't have to confront the reality of going blind. So I remember being in the bath, and it was a couple of weeks after I had the news that I didn't make it onto a gene therapy trial to preserve what vision I've got. And I was in the bath, and I was a bit broken at that point, and I just thought, if I just fell asleep now and then went under the water and didn't wake up, that's okay. I didn't value my life. I didn't want to kill myself. I wouldn't have ever done that, but I didn't value my life, and the future was, at that point, such an unwanted reality that by not having it would have been preferable, I suppose.
So what's helped get you through life then, Benton?
Just talking about it. I didn't talk about it for a long time, because normally when people have depression or go through phases of that, there's normally something you can say of, oh, it'll get better, or it'll be fine, or you go through that and you emerge. And because my vision isn't going to get better, I didn't talk to people, because I didn't want them to feel powerless or not know what to say or awkward. And I've sort of come to the realization that I don't need people to try and fix. I just need to be able to talk about it, for them to understand the things that make me frightened, or things I might need support for, or just to talk something through. And having friends, lucky enough I've got friends that I can talk to about these things, it makes you feel less alone. And I think the thought processes in my head make more sense when I talk about them than just going around my head. I can't make sense of them. The irrationality of it just sits in my head, and the second that I talk about it, and then you get reflected back to you, and it kind of helps you pin things down.
Great. And what would you, if you was 3 top tips you give to somebody to get themselves in a better space if they're feeling a bit crap or shit in life, what would they be? You've said one on talk to people.
Yeah, talk. Find some contentment with it, the acceptance of difference, the acceptance that you don't have to be like everybody else, that you should try to find a way of embracing the things that make you different rather than trying to pretend that you're like everyone else. Because I now quite enjoy the fact that I'm not like everyone else. It's given me skills that I wouldn't have if I hadn't had my vision impairment. Talk to people, that's an obvious one. And actually, beyond your friends, if you feel there's additional support you need, there's normally charities, organisations, support groups, phone lines that give you anonymous and private help. And I have accessed counselling a couple of times, and it's been really useful to me. So it's, celebrate your difference, talk to your friends, make your vulnerability part of your friend's life, because there's strength in vulnerability, and talk to people who are professionally trained or understand implicitly what you are going through with whatever it is that you're going through.